Okay, hello everybody. TJ Morris ET Radio for American Communications Online. I'm your host, Theresa J Morris, and I'm very excited to have one of our old guys, one of our men in black from back in the day of the UAP phenomena. But back in the day, we had flying saucers and then UFOs, and then it became UFOs and flying saucers are real with Stanton T. Friedman and J. Allen Hynek, and a lot of names you guys may know in the UFO field. But we're going to talk about the UAP Associates in 2020 and how we can include more topics for our young people coming up that we're sort of leading in the cyberspace community. And I have a spiritual community, metaphysical community, and a UFO community. And we also have Alien Contact Organization for alienologists. And we have contactees and experiencers with Janet Carroll Lesson, Kathy Martin, and Denise Stoner here in Florida. Janet's in Hawaii. But Norio Hayakawa was born in Japan and became an American citizen, and he has lived in LA and now moved to New Mexico. But I'm going to let him tell his story. I've written something up for UAP Associates and put his information where he's still at we're all baby boomers, but he's still keeping up wonderful communication for us. So I've asked him to join me with my company, American Communications Online, and to record for me for our archives in TJ Morris ET Radio. And we're now recording, and we're going to put this up on a lot of our shows. But mainly, I want to introduce you to Norio Hayakawa of UAP Associates. He is a UAP researcher, and he has a long history with many names, including some that we're going to talk about and how he got to know some of these well-known people. And he even had a gathering, and you can read all about it. But let's let Norio tell his story. Norio, you start where you want, if you'd like to. 44, maybe.
Thank you so much, TJ, for having me on your program this afternoon. It's my pleasure to talk about this important topic, the unidentified aerial phenomena, in other words, UAP. I used to, I dislike the word UFOs because I'm not even sure if UFOs are actually objects or not. I'm talking about physical objects or not. So for safety's sake, I like the term UAP, unidentified aerial phenomenon. And so I've been researching on this topic since 1961 when I was in high school, actually in Japan. And then in 1964, I became interested while I was living in Yokohama, Japan. In 1964, I heard about this Socorro, New Mexico UFO case witnessed by a policeman, Moore, and that was 1964. And in 1965, I actually received a scholarship from a college here in New Mexico, in Albuquerque. And so I came to this wonderful, enchanting state of New Mexico in 1965, where I spent almost, 8 years or so. And then I moved to Arizona, where I became a high school Spanish teacher in a public school outside of Phoenix. And then in 1982, I moved to Los Angeles, California, where I spent a lot of years as a licensed funeral director over there. And in 2008, my wife and I decided to retire here in this beautiful, spacious state of New Mexico, USA, where I now reside in a lovely city called Rio Rancho, just outside of Albuquerque. But as I mentioned to you, my long history of UFOs, which the term I don't like, but anyway, one of the turning points of my study came in 1988 when I became interested in the location now everybody knows, the Area 51. So since 1988, I've been into the research of Area 51, and at the same time, I became interested in 1988 about an strange allegation of an existence of an underground facility here in New Mexico known as the Dulce underground base theory. And so right now, I mentioned to you, I live in New Mexico, and New Mexico is the fifth largest state in the Union in area, fifth largest. Yet the entire population of this state is only 2 million, and it hasn't changed in many years. But nevertheless, New Mexico is a fascinating, spacious state, and this is the reason why I believe that leading edge military technology has always been tested here in New Mexico. In fact, right now, White Sands Missile Range are conducting the leading edge technology in directed energy weapon systems. Where I live, right near Albuquerque, is a base called the Kirtland Air Force Base, which is the headquarters of Air Force Research Laboratory, and which is located inside the Kirtland Air Force Base, as well as the Sandia National Laboratories, which is a very, very important national defense contractor. They are located within the Kirtland Air Force Base. And so I am blessed to be living here because New Mexico is a location where it's an ideal location for the U.S. government to do research on military technologies and latest, weapon systems research. It has Los Alamos National Laboratory, just an hour away from Albuquerque, and it has, White Sands missile ranges down south, and then it has many, many locations of interest right here. And so I'm talking about this unidentified aerial phenomenon from this aspect while living here in this land of enchantment, which some people call it the land of mystery.
Well, thank you. That's a good introduction so people know a little about you. So you've always been interested in unidentified aerial phenomena. Some people call it unidentified anomalous phenomena. But let's see how we can go forward together in 2020. I'm asking people that have time to document who they are and what brought them into the paranormal desk of the government or prior governments. And you were in the educational level. Let me see if I've got some kind of feedback. Just a second. Let me get my check my sound. Okay, I'm turning mine down a little bit, so still hear something, but hopefully this recording is doing good, folks. Norio and I are getting up there in years. He was born 1944. I was born December 26, 1951. Monroe, Louisiana, raised in Houston, and moved around the country working for the government until I retired with my husband in Kentucky, and he's deceased. So it was 2015 I moved. So he had a 20 years back. So Norio, my husband talked to me a lot about Dulce, and we went to El Paso in big trucks, but he was telling me about when he was in the government, and then I worked through El Paso, and I guess the people that will be listening to us will want to hear all the juicy information, we may have firsthand experience in crossing paths or with others in the UFO industry, or what we may know before we get to our own opinions. But can you tell me if you were able to ever go to the base or study anything where we get it to name dropping in there in the history or research you did? But were you able to go on any of the bases as a historian or researcher?
Yes. First of all, let's talk about an important uh, complex known as Area 51 in the state of Nevada. As I mentioned to you before, I started researching about Area 51 in Nevada since 1988, and I've been there uh, very close to the facility from where I could see the facility in the distance. In 1994, I climbed the hill called White Sides and saw the base from 4 or 5 miles away, and I saw all the buildings and so on. And so I became interested, and I actually took a TV crew in 1990 uh, close enough to the actually to the boundary line on Groom Lake Road, but you know, since I've been researching that area, I have actually seen some interesting sites, which initially I thought were not technology of the United States government, but over the years, I came to the conclusion that Area 51 is a very, very important national defense facility to create, the leading edge technologies in aeronautics and avionics and, integrated with weapon systems. And that's what it is all about. It has nothing to do with aliens and so on. And so I believe that Area 51 is one of the most important national defense complex in the United States. And that's what it is, nothing else. But as far as the allegation that there is a strange alien biological laboratory right here in the state of New Mexico, excuse me, I've been to Dulce, New Mexico, which is located inside a humongous Jicarilla Apache reservation of New Mexico. And I've been there since 1990 when I took the same TV crew from Japan to interview the residents of Dulce. And since then, since 1990, I visited Dulce many, many, many times. Even now, once in a while, I visit Dulce because it's only about 3 hour drive from where I live here in Rio Rancho. Excuse me. And I have made many, many, many local friends in the Dulce area who have told me of some amazing experiences that defy um, reality as far as I'm concerned. But as far as the actual base there, I have yet to come up with any tangible, physical, and even documentary evidence whatsoever that there's a physical underground biological laboratory in Dulce, New Mexico. But yet, even today, there are reports of by local residents there, reports of sightings of strange objects at night, sightings of occasional flight of military helicopters over Dulce. So I am convinced that even though there is no physical, tangible uh, documentary evidence whatsoever that there's a physical underground base there in Dulce, I'm convinced that there is something there that may not necessarily be a physical phenomenon. But I do uh, maintain my belief that there is some kind of a paraphysical phenomena in that entire region, and that the United States government is also aware that there is some kind of a paraphysical phenomenon over there. And this is the reason why the government had been interested in Dulce, New Mexico, maybe, as a location to test or experiment with psychological operations of some kind, using the local people's beliefs in the existence of aliens and underground base there. So this is not to deny that there's nothing there. In fact, as I mentioned to you right now, I'm convinced that there is some kind of a paranormal, or rather paraphysical phenomena that exist in that area.
Okay. What I was told by my deceased husband's spouse that was in the U.S. Army, the U.S. Army was in control of the underground base in Dulce. And when I was taken, he was taken there. You had to go through, well, I'll just mention there was a building out in the middle of nowhere. And we parked our trucks in El Paso. Uh, there's a army base there, and I forgot the name of it, but this was outside the base. But he had been there many times prior, working for President Reagan direct with hip pocket orders to find out for President Reagan what he could about that base and other bases, but including Area 51 in Denver, and the story of the original Roswell story. So I have firsthand information, or information he told me. But when I was there, I couldn't tell anybody where I was because I don't know how to explain how they keep everything compartmentalized. And when you're out in the desert, it all looks the same. But that was my second time. I had experience with firsthand white sands when I was a young child because my uncles worked at Los Alamos. But so you can't confirm or deny. My husband said there were many levels in the base because he worked there twice, and they would let them go in and work several months at a time. And they had they had recording videos as well, but they would delete them when it came to some of the UFO underground reverse technology there. So he said there was on the very top of the mountain, there was a lookout. You could go up, but you had to have the key to the elevator up and down. But did you hear or have any historic documentation that you could help me provide? Because I can't say it was Dulce, but that's the only mountain that comes up that we drove for hours from El Paso. How much do you think out in the desert from El Paso to Dulce? Well, you're in Albuquerque, so can you give me an idea for the people to know about how far, if you have to go to the El Paso Army base to drive in a bus with dark windows, how long it would take to get to Dulce? Can you give me an idea in your
Yeah,
mind?
it will take many, many, many hours, because just to go from the place where you mentioned in Texas to Albuquerque takes many, many hours. And from Albuquerque to the Dulce area in the Hickory Apache Reservation area, it takes about 3 hours. What I'm saying is that everybody believes that there's something under the Archuleta or Mount Archuleta just outside of Dulce, but it's just rumors and nothing has been ever confirmed. In fact, there's not a single credible photo anywhere of a Dulce base, not a single one. And so all these stories about people like Phil Schneider claiming to work underground there and participated in some kind of a military confrontation with alleged aliens underground there. These are all simply rumors and not based on reality as we know reality to be. That is to say, physical reality in which we live. So that is mainly to clarify to everybody that we can talk about the Dulce underground laboratory and so on, but there's not a single shred of physical evidence to support that theory. But yet, the phenomenon exists since many folks there, even today, report occasional sightings of objects there at night. And so, I can't I can't confirm that there is a base there, but I like to keep my 2 feet on the ground when I talk about these things and when I, do research. I have to strictly rely on tangible physical evidence. And this is my theory that, in this humongous cosmos or universes that we live in, uh, there are billions and billions of sun-like stars that maintain billions and billions of planetary systems in this humongous universe. So there has to be, most scientists agree, the possibility, at least, of existence of other intelligences other than us in this humongous universe. But to say that the UFO phenomenon represent some kind of actual physical visitations by those entities in physical spacecraft of any kind is preposterous to me. When we talk about physical reality in which we live, but but since there are many, many reports of folks claiming to have been abducted by strange entities in strange craft, you can't dismiss all these claims. That's why I leave the door open that this whole matter may not necessarily pertain to physical reality, but some kind of a paranormal or paraphysical intrusion into our dimension by entities which I call sentient, paraphysical uh, entities that dwell in a dimension that coexists with us. And this is the reason why I support the proposals made by Dr. Jacques Vallée and the late researcher uh, John A. Keel, and so on, the people of similar minds. So they both agree in the reality of the UFO phenomenon, or rather UAP, unidentified anomalous or aerial phenomena. That's the reality. But I'm very doubtful that the United States government is keeping any secret intentionally about this thing, because they themselves are puzzled by it. And so I don't have a conspiratorial outlook on this entire subject matter, because it's just that we can't get hold of this type of thing. And but yet I continue to do researches, because in this world there are things that we cannot see that may exist, and we cannot explain by our contemporary scientific empirical methodology. And so I am a person who believes in the existence of the supernatural. In fact, I believe in the existence of a creator. And since I believe in the existence of a creator of this universe, I also believe in the existence of untold number of uh, God's creation, such as the physical entities that are known as angelic entities, some of which have revolted against God and caused a cosmic revolution eons ago, and are known as fallen angels. But that's another subject matter. But that's how I stand with my beliefs. But
So,
basically, I believe I'm a very materialistic person because I believe in materials and in physical dimension. But yet I am open to the possibility that there are supernatural matters in this whole universe.
you sound very intelligent. And also, may I ask what your degree was that the country, well, you left Japan to come to the university to get part of your education. That's not who you are, but one of your identifiers would be around the world. Some people like to know, like mind psychology, law enforcement, criminal justice, forensics, psychology type stuff. What is your background?
Well, my background is I have a degree in Spanish language and culture, the Southwest culture and Latin American studies. And so that's my background. But yet, in my life experiences, I've had so many things going on. For example, I am also a professional musician and singer, and I have spent some time traveling in a country western band, going to Canada while living in Arizona. And so I am a person that's interested in a lot of things. And so, you know, I try to be multilateral in my outlook on this world. And I'm glad that God gave me this kind of worldview of things, and so that's where I stand.
Well, did you go through? I'm also a singer, songwriter, musician. I took it in school. I was a singer on television and a dancer as a child for KNOE in El Dorado, Arkansas, Channel 10. But as I grew up, I took piano and then trumpet. But I really enjoyed being married to a musician that was with the Musicians Union, and that's how I believe I got to meet President Reagan, was through being his wife and had psychic abilities. It was destined for me to meet Ronald Reagan then in Houston. But being a musician, I joined BMI, Broadcast Music Incorporated in Nashville, and also IBMA, International Bluegrass Music Association. Became a producer and did some music and wrote some songs. Did you by any chance go through Ohio County or do country bluegrass while you're on your way to Canada? Are you familiar with Bill Monroe Foundation or Bill Monroe Bluegrass Boys? Anything
Oh,
to
yeah,
do with bluegrass?
definitely. Although I'm not much into bluegrass, I have been very much into classic country, and that's what I do. I'm a keyboardist, and I do my own thing. I have my own one-man band type thing, and some of my, or many of my work is in YouTube. And so, that's as far as music concerned is. But since I'm very much into cosmology, I also do a lot of so-called New Age type, cosmic type of music, instrumental music, which I create. And, so some of Those can be seen in my YouTube videos. But that's who I am. I am into the mysteries, and but at the same time, I put my 2 feet on the ground, so I come down to earth, and that's why I like country music, because it's down home style of music, but yet I enjoy the creative cosmological type of music that's more complicated, in structure. So yeah, that's who I am. I do research on this fascinating phenomenon called the unidentified aerial or anomalous phenomena. But at the same time, I do have other interests. I do a lot of exploration in New Mexico, and I put those exploration in a video on YouTube. In fact, I just visited right near Rio Rancho. There is a natural wonderland. It almost resembles a moonscape area, and it's only about a 25-minute drive from Rio Rancho or Albuquerque, and it's called Ojito Wilderness. And so this is a place where you can get this feeling that this world sure is mysterious. It's like going to another land that time forgot. And so I'm into all these things. And so I live here in this wonderful land of enchantment, New Mexico. And I'm forever grateful to the Lord for bringing me and wife here to this wonderful state.
Well, there where you live, I feel like you were called there to help us all understand and to be a communicator, because not only is ufology and alienology got their own language and know most of the players in the background, but we have music, which is a language, in math. And I've received sound vibrations as well as out of, one might say, magic prior to the internet, a sign like a crop circle, but it was for the Ascension Age and the Ascension Center work that I'm doing now. I have feedback on my own self, so I need to find out what that is. It must be levels too high. Do you hear a feedback at all when I talk, Norio?
Well, just slightly, but I can hear you quite well.
Okay, well, I turned it down again. I guess I have it. I turned it down. Do I sound okay now?
You sound perfect.
Okay. What I'd like to say is I have seen, I guess one might say, fractals. We get into a language in our cell phones, and we get into a language that we speak in Ascension Age with crystals, but also with sound and vibration. And I'm sure you've seen the drumming circles or been involved in Korea area with people, but also with your keyboards. There's a language I'm looking for, and many musicians are, regardless of their genre, music, rock, country, rap, whatever. But this still, as you well know, we've only been able to establish certain keys on the keyboard. And most people know it's A, B, C, D, E, F, G, sharps and flats. But that language, and then how it makes, I've seen, and you can help us with this in technology, but we're looking for that. We know space and gravity, and I don't want to really get too deep, but the languages that we use with color, sound, and vibrations is very new age, I guess, from back in the day, but it really stems back from metaphysics uh, and the study of philosophy and all things, whether natural or how they all affect each other. But I feel like through the course of culture around the world, that always music seemed to be, uh, when we couldn't understand each other's language, we could somehow speak drum or speak sign language. But you've seen, where I'm going with this, Norio, is with you being a musician and in ufology. I've seen people that are ET contactees are guided intuitionally, like Tesla and Einstein. People that have a high degree of intelligence, they're open-minded and they're able to see more visions, much like it's said that Columbus, when Columbus was coming over, the Indians, only the shaman of the Indians could see the ships coming, if you know that tale. And the same thing goes with music. Some people have an ear and can see the signs like salt or sand vibrating on a bass, maybe. But have you studied any of that? And I don't know if there's a name, there's probably a musicography or, something to do. Plus, I'd like to talk to you, being Japanese, about the light and the water and the salt. And the gentleman from Japan, you may be aware of, studied like water crystals. Do you see where I'm going with that? Do you have any intel?
Yes, I definitely see where you're going with this, because a good example of the interaction between us and possibly other entities, as you said, could be music. And a good example was a scene from the movie called Close Encounters of the Third Kind, where they try to play several notes. And then the object seemed to have appeared, after that kind of music was made. And so, yes, there is definitely something mysterious about the music and interaction. But all of this points out to me that there is something about selection. In fact, my theory is that some folks are pre-selected in advance to observe something. And this is the reason why I state in some of my videos that that some people are just pre-selected to have a sighting, because many people don't have sighting experiences. So I think it's a matter of selections, and some people or a group of people can be selected at a certain location and time to witness the physical or paraphysical intrusion into our dimension by those entities that I believe are sentient and paraphysical in nature. And so this is the reason why I cannot disclaim at all the claims of sightings of so-called flying saucers or UAPs. I cannot discount the claims made by people, because maybe they have been pre-selected in advance to witness that sighting. And my final conclusion is that this phenomenon, the unidentified anomalous phenomenon or aerial phenomenon, seem to present to us the illusion that these entities and their spacecraft, so-called spacecraft, are using some type of a propulsion system, but they are not. I'm just guesstimating that they are not using any kind of a propulsion system, but they have the ability to materialize and dematerialize at will. So in the case of 1964 in New Mexico, the Socorro landing case witnessed by Officer Lonnie Zamora, after he witnessed the oval-shaped object about 300 feet in front of him, in a few minutes, that object seemed to have taken off at tremendous speed into the distance. And my theory is that they were not using any kind of propulsion system, but they were just using the power to dematerialize at will. And that's another one of my area of interest, is the sudden materialization and dematerialization of these entities and their craft in front of our physical sight, presenting to us the impression that they were using some kind of a propulsion system. My belief is that in order to come to our dimension from another space, there's no need for a physical spacecraft of any kind, but their ability to instantaneously materialize and intrude or break the barriers of our dimension, presenting to us that we are seeing some kind of a physical material flying in the air. And so that's another one of my conclusions that I have come up recently.
That's great. Well, I've also done some mental work in interest with time, space, and gravity, and I do understand that when I died, time seemed to stop here, but I was taken above, and those stories became my angelic realm in all the various universes with going up to see golden people. And, you know, these are like separate stories for out of body or near deaths to some people. And then other times, I can talk about past lives and memories. So that becomes a whole another genre in the past. However, like music and crop circles and sound and vibration and patterns and signals that have been left on the, with the ancients and pictographs in mountains. I believe it's all coming together. And what you and I are doing is talking, and you can even translate Japanese, Spanish, and English for those if we ever had a gathering of the seniors before we pass. I would like to see that happen. But in the meantime, we can do a little things such as we're doing here. But I'd like to be able to have like a little workshop or webinar to compare notes of people that have literally felt like the change on Earth to accept that ancient astronauts did visit or alien civilizations exist, and how we can find the individuals that literally took time to write about it or research it and put information such as yourself as a civilian. And me myself now I'm no longer in uniform. I'm no longer a government employee. I'm strictly a contractor or a individual self-employed doing communications and searching for people with interests such as myself. We all call this, since we've retired, as hobbyists, but you're not only a musician and a writer and you're a producer of DVDs, but did you write a book? Did I see a book or in your repertoire or in Amazon that you wrote? Could you relate to that?
Sure. A long time ago, many years ago, I wrote a manuscript called UFOs, The Grand Deception and the Coming New World Order. And that was in 1993 when I was traveling throughout the United States giving lectures on this subject, the UFOs, the Grand Deception and the Coming New World Order. And it's a collection of things, along with my 2 cents worth of the UFO phenomena. And so I was very much into UFO conspiracies in the 1980s and early 1990s, and I got to know people like the late William Bill Cooper, who used to live in Arizona, and I used to help with his first lecture which was held in Los Angeles. And at that time, Mr. Bill Cooper was a strong believer in the physical existence of UFOs and aliens. But later on, towards his life, he departed from that kind of thinking, and he became convinced that the entire UFO phenomena was manipulated by the government to create panic so that the world will succumb to the forced global governance of, or sometime a new world order type stuff. And so I was very much into that as well in the 1980s and early 1990s, but nowadays I have departed from that type of thinking. And as I told you many, many times here today, I'm a believer in the reality of the UFO phenomenon, or rather the unidentified aerial phenomenon. I believe that they are real, but that unfortunately I have not been able to come up with any concrete, tangible evidence that we have ever been visited physically by physical extraterrestrial biological entities in physical extraterrestrial spacecraft of any kind. So that's my position. But that does not mean that I am not a supporter of the belief in the existence of the phenomena. The phenomenon itself are real. The phenomena are real, no question about it. But we just can't get hold of what's behind it, the nature of the phenomenon. And this is the reason why I said before that I am certain that the United States government itself is puzzled by this phenomenon. So this is the reason why I don't think there has ever been an intentional cover-up of this phenomenon by the U.S. government. The position I take is similar to that of John Alexander, whom I know. I worked with him a couple of times in New Mexico. And so that is my position right now.
Well, I get that this is an important time. We're splitting the internet in cyberspace. It's like the highway is no longer just, if you'll allow me to use this, Norio, from back in the day when on Earth we had in Kentucky, such as all over, because I come from a timber family. We used to cut down trees, which I'm sure we still do. But we'd start with a logging road, like just one in and out, and then we went to two sides in and out. So you have in and out, and we do the same thing in cyberspace now with transmission of information in and out, like we do with our computers. And the roads gradually became asphalt, well, really rock, and I've seen how there's different things they use in the cheaper counties that you finally get chipped road, and then you get asphalt. So I'm sort of using that as an analogy, I guess, as to where we are now in cyberspace, because here in the UFO community, we have the spiritual community that's always been separate from the UFO community, and even at all the whole life expos, and I'm sure you remember the UFO conferences. I never went to a UFO conference. I did help with a pyramid conference in 2016 as far as helping organize in cyberspace or meet with people with Marta Thomas about pyramids, and I worked with Dr. Samus Monagic, the Bosnian pyramids, but that's another whole subject in itself too, is how the pyramids and ancient astronauts fit in with the pictographs of people and stones. And I'm sure in Hickory, now with your study of languages and being in your location, Albuquerque, you have a benefit of reaping in all the rewards of the crystal, or we say we use crystals in space, but we use them in our watches, quartz crystals, but we use them also as a currency in the New Age community. But I guess what I'm saying is now with 2020, these highways are becoming much more complicated, like internet in America. You can see the interstates and the freeways, and we're going into space now. And so 2020 is the year to see with hindsight. 2020, we used to say, look in your rearview mirror once, but keep going forward. But we say hindsight is 2020. I'm sure you're very familiar with that term, even in all languages. But you've been able to know a lot of people, and you mentioned William Cooper. And wasn't he a security guard at one of those underground facilities? I don't know if he was military,
No,
but
William Cooper was not a security guard or security person at all. He was just a researcher. But you were probably talking about Thomas E. Costello, who claimed to have worked in the alleged Dulce underground base. But
oh,
so that's a different person. But William Cooper was a researcher that became well known for his connection of UFOs to the New World Order conspiracy. And so that's who William Cooper was. And he wrote a book called Behold a Pale Horse, which is a pretty good book. But later on, he admitted that he may have been fed misinformation by the government and made him believe that, that the aliens were here and so on. But, this
in
is
a
something that's uh, fascinating topic because today we have many people that absolutely believe that we are being invaded by these entities. And, my feeling is that I don't think so physically. As far as I'm concerned, there is not going to be any disclosure by the government or governmental entities. There will be no such things as disclosure because the question is what to disclose because the government itself is puzzled by this phenomenon, and the only disclosure will come from the entities themselves when they decide to openly disclose of their existence, which may happen or may not happen during our lifetime. And but anyway, TJ, time is running out right now, and I just want to say that it was my great, great pleasure to be on your program. I must be leaving right now, but unfortunately, I have to stop right now. But thank you so much once again, TJ, for having me on your very thought-provoking program.
Well, you've got a lot of information, Norio. I would love to have you back. Do you think you may be available in the future for another hour sometime?
Sure, sometime definitely when I get more new information, I will definitely contact you to share those type of information. Once again, thank you so much, TJ.
Thank you. I'd like to talk to you about some of your people, including what you, there's stories that you have with, some people, your first blog in 2015. I can't remember his name, but he was in the Air Force. You remember your first blog in 2015, that gentleman's name? Uh,
Well, I have met so many people in this world, including people like Bob Lazar and, Area 51 associated people and all this and that. But,
Well, we
uh,
can cover it in the future if you're
yeah,
willing. I would like to jog your memory so people will know your name and how
yes.
you were able to research people. And thank you so much,
Thank
Norio, for all you've done for all of us in the community out here, in the global community, and especially in ufology and alienology. And we'll put you down as a UAP associate because that's really where your heart goes with all this. phenomenology, I would think. There's a lot out there, and you could discuss angels, and we can go into that in any way that people look at it. But thank you for your music and your words and your writing and your time for everybody that you've helped out here in cyberspace. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
All right. We know your name, and they'll find you on UAP.associates, Norio Hayakawa, and our Citizens Intelligence Director for all of us with UAP. Thank you, and we will get you back here. I will send you a copy of this. Thank you so much. It will
Thank you.
be open source. All right. Thank you.